You think being nice makes you safe. You think saying yes keeps you loved. But here's the brutal truth. Every yes you give away without meaning, it is a no stolen from yourself. History is littered with men who tried to be everybody's friend. They burned out. They were betrayed. They were forgotten. And the ones who dared to say no. They built empires. They rewrote nations. They carved their names into eternity. So ask yourself, are you living as a fortress or as a door that anyone can walk through? Are you shaping your circle or letting your circle shape you? In this video, I'm going to show you why pleasing everyone is the fastest way to lose yourself. Why silence can be your sharpest weapon. Why no is the most powerful word you'll ever speak. And how choosing your circle can turn you from invisible into unstoppable. Don't skip. Don't click away. Watch this video until the very end, because the moment you do, you'll never see your yes or your life the same way again. If you are friend to everybody, you are enemy to yourself. Think about that for a second. Let it sit in your chest. How many times have you laughed at a joke you hated? How many times have you nodded when you wanted to shake your head? How many times have you said yes, when deep inside you knew the answer was no? It feels harmless at first. What's the cost of another smile? Another yes. Another fake nod. But here is the truth. Every time you betray yourself to please somebody else, you leave a small wound. And these wounds don't heal. They pile up. They rot. They eat you alive from the inside. Let's break this down with a story. Picture an office. There's always that one person who says yes to everything. His boss asks for an extra report, he agrees. His teammate dumps their unfinished work on him, he agrees. A client makes an impossible demand, he nods, promises it'll get done. On the surface, he looks like a dream employee. Always smiling, always cooperative, always willing to help. People like him. They say he's reliable. But fast forward a few months. He's working late nights, weekends, drained, hollow. And when promotion time comes, guess what happens? The boss doesn't promote him. The boss promotes the colleague who had the courage to say no. The colleague who set boundaries. The colleague who respected his own time. The yes man became invisible. He was not respected. He was used. This is what happens when you try to be friend to everybody. You slowly disappear. You see, betrayal by others hurts, but betrayal by yourself destroys you. When you constantly smile while swallowing your anger, when you constantly say yes while your soul screams no, when you constantly bend until you have no spine left, that's not kindness. That's self-burial. Psychologists call it people-pleasing behavior. But let's not dress it up with clinical labels. Let's call it what it really is. Fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of conflict. Fear of being disliked. You think you're buying peace. You think you're buying love. You think you're buying approval. But what you're really doing is selling your soul cheap. History is full of brutal lessons. Take Julius Caesar. He wanted loyalty, friendship, support. And he believed he had it. He made Brutus, his supposed friend, his closest ally. Caesar thought, if I am kind, if I trust, if I give my hand in friendship, I will be safe. But on the Ides of March, who stabbed him? Not the stranger. Not the enemy he kept at arm's length. It was Brutus. The friend. Even Caesar, with his empire, with his legions, forgot the truth. If you are friend to everybody, you are enemy to yourself. Now, let's zoom back to ordinary life. You know that one friend in your group who always agrees to whatever the group decides. Dinner at a place they hate. They nod. A movie they've seen 3 times already. They smile and go, need money. They hand it over, no questions asked. At first, everyone likes this friend. Easygoing, cooperative. But slowly, notice what happens. Nobody really respects them. Nobody really asks what they want. Nobody considers their opinion. Because when you erase yourself for the comfort of others, people stop seeing you. Here's a metaphor for you. Imagine standing in front of a mirror that never shows your own face. Instead, it reflects everyone else's expressions. You smile because they smile. You frown because they frown. You nod because they nod. That's what being friend to everybody is. You stop being yourself. You become a reflection. And reflections are never real. Let's be real. We do it because it feels safe. Approval feels like oxygen. Rejection feels like death. As children, we learned quickly. When we are nice, when we please, we avoid punishment. We get praise. We feel accepted. So the habit follows us into adulthood. Into workplaces, into relationships, into friendships. We think, if I am good, if I am kind, if I am agreeable, they will love me. But love that demands your silence is not love. Respect that requires your surrender is not respect. Think about the cost. At work, you get exploited. In relationships, you get taken for granted. With friends, you get ignored. With family, you get guilt. And the worst cost. You lose the ability to trust yourself. Because every time you say yes when you mean no, you tell your own brain, my voice doesn't matter. That is the most dangerous lie of all. I once met a mother who told me something chilling. She said, I don't even know what food I like anymore. Why? Because for years, she cooked whatever her family wanted. She never chose for herself. She never said, today, we eat what I want. And slowly, she lost her own taste. This is what happens when you always live for others. You forget the sound of your own voice. Let's make one thing brutally clear. Always being nice is not goodness. It is weakness. Goodness is when you have the strength to say no, but choose yes when it matters. Weakness is when you have no choice at all. The world is not kind to weakness. The world uses weakness. Imagine a candle. You light it on one end, it burns slowly. You light it on both ends, it burns twice as fast. That's the people pleaser's life. Burning themselves out from both sides. Trying to keep everybody warm while freezing inside. Ever wonder why, after saying yes, you still feel resentful? Ever notice the pit in your stomach after you agree to something you didn't want to do? That emptiness is your soul rebelling. It's the part of you screaming, this is not me. And every time you ignore it, you kill it a little more. Some will say, but being nice makes people like me. Here's the thing. Being liked is not the same as being respected. Being liked is not the same as being valued. The clown is liked. The servant is liked. The one who entertains everyone is liked. But they are not respected. And when the time comes for power, for opportunity, for real recognition, the liked one is discarded. Because the world remembers respect, not friendliness. You can be everybody's friend, or you can be somebody worth remembering. But you cannot be both. That is the problem. That is the prison. And unless you see it, you will live and die as a shadow. Here's the thing. Being everybody's friend is not just exhausting. It is self-destruction in slow motion. At first, it looks harmless. People smile at you. They call you nice. They say you're dependable. You start believing you are doing the right thing. But inside, something dangerous is happening. Every time you betray yourself to win approval, you are teaching your brain a deadly lesson. My needs do not matter. And when you repeat that lesson long enough, your brain believes it. You become the background character in your own story. Think of it this way. When you try to please everyone, what you're really saying is, I'd rather betray myself than risk disappointing you. It sounds noble. It looks kind. But the truth is, it's cowardice. Because courage is not smiling when you want to scream. Courage is saying no, and standing in the fire of someone's disappointment. Let's go back to the workplace for a second. Imagine a leader who never says no. Every team demand. Approved. Every executive request. Accepted. Every client whim. Promised. For a while, he looks like a hero. He is the nice leader. His calendar is full, his inbox exploding, his nights sleepless. But when deadlines crash, when projects collapse, when the system breaks, who gets blamed? The same leader. Because he promised everything. Because he wanted to please everyone. Because he never had the guts to draw a line. The revelation is harsh. People will happily take advantage of your willingness. And when it all falls apart, they will abandon you without hesitation. Look at politics. Politicians who try to please every voter end up standing for nothing. One day they promise the workers. The next day they promise the businessmen. By the end, nobody trusts them. History remembers leaders who stood firm, not leaders who bent to every wind. Churchill was hated by many, yet he saved Britain. Lincoln was despised by half the country, yet he changed history. Gandhi faced ridicule and opposition, yet his refusal to compromise birthed freedom. Pleasing everyone never creates greatness. It only creates ghosts. Remember the candle burning at both ends. Here's the deeper truth. A candle burning at both ends doesn't just die faster. It dies without purpose. It dies without ever illuminating what it was meant to. That's you when you waste yourself on being universally liked. You burn out before you can shine where it matters. Now let's dive into psychology. People-pleasing is not kindness. It's survival mode. Many of us learned as children that love was conditional. Be quiet, and you're loved. Be agreeable, and you're accepted. So we carried that into adulthood. We became experts at scanning faces, reading tones, adjusting ourselves to avoid conflict. We became human chameleons. But here's the revelation. A chameleon survives, but it never becomes a lion. Survival is not the same as power. And the more you please, the more you lose. You lose respect. You lose trust in yourself. You lose your ability to say no. And worst of all, you lose your identity. There was once a painter. He began his career with fire in his heart. His work was bold, raw, unapologetic. But critics mocked him. Buyers complained. So he adjusted. He painted what people wanted. Softer colors. Safer themes. Pleasant landscapes. Years passed. His work sold, but he felt hollow. One day he stood in front of his own gallery and realized, these paintings look nothing like me. He had pleased everyone, but he had murdered his art. That's what happens when you betray yourself to win the applause of the crowd. You may fill the room with people, but the one person missing is you. Niceness is seductive. It looks like a shortcut to love, but it's an illusion. People may smile at you. They may even thank you, but deep down, they do not respect you. Because respect is not built on endless yes. Respect is built on boundaries. Silence can be a weapon. No can be a shield. A single firm refusal can earn more respect than 100 weak agreements. Look at Neville Chamberlain, the British Prime Minister before World War II. He wanted peace at any cost. He wanted to please. He gave Hitler what he wanted, hoping kindness would buy safety. What happened? Disaster. His reputation shattered. History branded him weak. Now contrast that with Churchill. He was not nice. He was not universally liked. He was stubborn, defiant, abrasive. But he said no when it mattered. And that no saved a nation. The revelation is clear. Trying to please everyone does not save you. It destroys you. Ever notice how people pleasers often feel invisible? They complain that nobody really sees them. Nobody asks about their needs. Nobody truly values them. Here's the truth. How can anyone value you if you refuse to value yourself? How can anyone hear your voice if you silence it before it leaves your lips? Your emptiness is not caused by others. It's caused by you abandoning yourself over and over again. Let's make a contrast. Dependence is living for approval. Freedom is living by principle. The dependent man says yes to everything, hoping others will carry him with affection. But in reality, they drag him. The free man says no when necessary, even if it earns him enemies. But in reality, it earns him self-respect, and that's worth more than 100 false friends. A fortress with no walls is not a fortress. It is rubble waiting to happen. A tree that bends to every wind never grows roots. It remains weak, fragile, uprooted. A soldier who fights for both sides dies dishonored. This is what happens when you are friend to everybody. The deeper betrayal is this. When you please everyone, you are teaching the world how to treat you. You are telling them, my time is cheap, my energy is free, my voice is disposable. And the world believes you. People treat you exactly how you allow yourself to be treated. So, here's the revelation, stripped of all metaphor. Being everybody's friend does not make you loved. It makes you weak. It does not make you safe. It makes you disposable. It does not protect you. It destroys you. Because every yes you give away without meaning it is a no stolen from yourself. Up until now, we've exposed a disease. The disease of pleasing. The prison of yes, the slow death of betraying yourself. But a diagnosis without a cure is cruelty. So now, let's talk transformation. How do you stop being the friend to everybody and start being a person of power? How do you step out of weakness into strength? The answer comes down to 3 weapons: silence, boundaries, and the word no. Most people are terrified of silence. They rush to fill every pause with agreement, laughter, chatter. But silence, when used with intent, is one of the most powerful weapons you have. Imagine a meeting. A boss suggests something outrageous. Everyone nods. Except you. You remain silent. Calm. Unmoved. That silence is louder than a speech. People notice. People wonder. People respect. Gandhi mastered silence. He would retreat into silence for days, letting the world chatter while he conserved his fire. His refusal to react immediately gave his words weight when he finally spoke. Weakness speaks endlessly. Power speaks rarely. Picture a fortress. What makes it strong? Its walls. Its gates. Its ability to say, you may enter, you may not. That's what boundaries are. Shields that protect your energy, your time, your soul. Most people pleasers fear boundaries. They think saying no will lose them friends, clients, love. But the truth is, boundaries do not push people away. They filter people. They reveal who respects you and who only uses you. Take Steve Jobs. He refused endless product ideas. He said no to dozens of potential distractions. By drawing boundaries, he created Apple's focus. Without boundaries, Apple would have drowned in mediocrity. Your boundaries are not cruelty. They are clarity. The most underrated word in the human language is no. No is not rejection. No is the line that separates who owns you and who does not. Look at Rosa Parks. She said no when told to give up her seat. That single no changed history. Look at Churchill. He said no to appeasement, even when the world begged him to compromise. That no saved a nation. Look at any person you respect deeply. You'll notice they were not defined by their yes. They were defined by their no. Your yes only has value if your no exists. From pleaser to power. Practical steps. Let's get concrete. How do you transform in your daily life? Pause before answering. When someone asks something of you, don't rush. Breathe. Silence buys you time. Test small no's. Start with small things. Decline a meeting you don't need. Refuse a dinner you don't want. Train your muscle. Write your no. Decide right now. What are the things you will never compromise? Protect those like treasure. Watch who stays. When you say no, some will leave. Let them. Their presence was never built on respect. Transformation is not about pleasing fewer people. It is about shifting your loyalty from others to yourself. Napoleon Bonaparte was not universally loved. Many despised him. But he understood boundaries. He valued loyalty over popularity. He knew that the general who tries to please every soldier loses the war. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, wrote in his Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Translation. Power comes from mastering your response, not mastering approval. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. Imagine if he had tried to please his captors. he would have left forgotten. Instead, he drew a boundary with his very soul. He said, "I will not break." That no transformed not just himself, but a nation. Let's put them side by side. Weakness says yes to avoid conflict. Power says no and faces the storm. Weakness fears silence. Power uses silence. Weakness is a door with no lock. Power is a fortress with gates. Weakness seeks popularity. Power seeks respect. Weakness bends to every wind. Power grows roots deep enough to withstand hurricanes. Which side do you want to live on? A man without boundaries is like a village without walls, easy prey for every invader. A person who never says no is like a river with no banks spilled everywhere, going nowhere. A pleaser is like an actor who forgets he is acting. He becomes lost in roles and never finds his true face. Transformation begins the moment you refuse to play the role. I once heard about a corporate executive who was on the verge of collapse. He was drowning in meetings, projects, requests. He tried to be friend to everyone: board members, staff, clients. And he was failing. His mentor told him one thing: your yes means nothing until you learn to say no. So he started experimenting. Declined one meeting. Cancelled one project. Said no to one client demand. At first, people resisted. Some were angry. But then something surprising happened. They started respecting him. His time became valuable. His presence became rare. His words started carrying weight. Within a year, he was not the exhausted yes man anymore. He was the leader people listened to. All because he embraced the weapon of no. This is not just external. Saying no transforms your inner world to. When you stop betraying yourself, you start trusting yourself. Your confidence grows. Your energy rises. You stop resenting others because you stop resenting yourself. You realize something profound. You don't need to be everybody's friend. You just need to be your own ally. Make no mistake, transformation comes with cost. Some friends will leave. Some colleagues will resent you. Some family members will guilt trip you, but let them. If your friendship depended on you betraying yourself, it was never friendship. If your respect depended on your silence, it was never respect. The cost of power is losing fake friends. The reward of power is gaining yourself. Weakness is easy. Power is costly. But weakness kills you slowly. Power saves you. So ask yourself, do you want to live as the yes man who disappears? Or do you want to live as the man who's no echoes for generations? History never remembers the ones who pleased everyone. History remembers the ones who drew the line. We've reached the breaking point. The problem is clear. Being friend to everybody makes you enemy to yourself. The revelation is clear. People-pleasing destroys you from the inside out. The transformation is clear. Silence, boundaries, and no are your weapons. But now comes the most important part: action. Because knowing without doing is the same as not knowing at all. Ask yourself this right now. Do you want to be liked, or do you want to be respected? You cannot be both. Not fully. Not deeply. Being liked means fitting into everyone else's story. Being respected means writing your own. When you die, people will not remember how nice you were. They will remember what lines you drew, what battles you fought, what truths you refused to betray. Here's the raw truth. Not everyone deserves to sit at your table. Your life is a fortress. Your time is gold. Your energy is sacred. So why do you keep handing it out like candy to people who don't value it? You need to choose your circle. Carefully. Ruthlessly. Intentionally. Surround yourself with people who respect your no, who value your boundaries, who see you as a person, not a tool. And for the rest, close the gates. Alexander the Great conquered half the world before he was 30. But here's something most people forget. He did it by being ruthless about his circle. He cut off generals who hesitated. He removed advisors who doubted. He surrounded himself with warriors and thinkers who fueled his mission. If Alexander had tried to keep everyone happy, he would have died in obscurity. Instead, he chose his circle and carved his name into history. Tonight, sit down with a pen and paper. Write the names of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, ask yourself, do they respect my boundaries, or do they cross them? Do they make me stronger, or do they drain me? Do they celebrate my no, or do they punish it? Your circle is either building your empire, or burning it down quietly. Every time you say, I'll try, what you're really saying is, I don't have the courage to say no. Stop it. Replace it. If you can't commit, say no. If it doesn't align with your values, say no. If it costs you your peace, say no. The power of no is not in its harshness, but in its honesty. Start small. Say no to one text you don't want to answer immediately. Decline one meeting you know is useless. Refuse one invitation you don't care for. With each act of defiance, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Courage is built in reps. Let's be brutally honest. When you start choosing yourself, some people will leave. Some will call you selfish. Some will try to guilt you back into the old role. Let them. Better to be called selfish and respected than selfless and invisible. Better to lose a false friend than lose yourself. When the world was crumbling under Hitler's rise, many British politicians begged Churchill to negotiate, to compromise, to seek peace. It would have been the popular choice. It would have made him everybody's friend. But Churchill said no. He chose respect over popularity. He chose defiance over applause. And because he did, Britain survived. History is not written by the agreeable, it is written by the defiant. Here's a test I want you to use from now on. Every time you're about to say yes, pause. Go stand in front of a mirror. Look yourself in the eyes. Ask, if I say yes, will I respect myself more or less? If the answer is less, then the answer is no. That is how you build a life of respect. One choice at a time. From this moment, you must stop seeing yourself as the pleaser, the background character, the shadow. You are the gatekeeper. The fortress builder. The one who chooses his circle, not the one who begs to enter someone else's. Weak men wait for invitations. Strong men send them or refuse them. A fortress with open gates is already conquered. A sword that never cuts rusts in its sheath. A lion who tries to be friends with every sheep starves. You are not here to starve. You are here to rule your own life. So here is your challenge. In the next 24 hours, say no to one thing you would normally agree to. Just one. Watch how it feels. Watch how people react. Watch how your spine straightens. That single act will be the beginning of a new identity. Stop betraying yourself for the comfort of others. Stop confusing weakness with kindness. Stop selling your soul for pennies of approval. Become the person who can look in the mirror and say, I am loyal to myself first. From this moment, do not seek to be friend to everybody. Seek to be the person who chooses his circle, guards his gates, and stands unshaken. Because, in the end, the world does not respect the agreeable. It respects the man who owns his no. Now you understand. Pleasing everyone was never kindness, it was chains disguised as love. And the moment you chose silence, the moment you chose boundaries, the moment you chose no, you broke those chains. The truth is simple. The world will never remember you for how agreeable you were. It will remember you for the lines you drew, the battles you fought, the times you refused to betray yourself. So from today, stop begging for seats at tables that don't honor you. Build your own. Choose your circle with intention. Guard your gates with pride. Live a life where your respect matters more than their approval. Because the man who can stand in front of the mirror and say, I am loyal to myself first, is a man the world cannot break, cannot use, and cannot forget. Now, it's your move. Don't just close this video and drift back into the old life. Act. Today, say no once. Draw one line. Reclaim one piece of yourself. And watch how quickly the world begins to bend, not to the pleaser you used to be, but to the powerful force you were always meant to become.